Hello, everybody. This is Ian McDonald with Stick Drummer Magazine, and I am honored and humbled to be here again for another live roundtable. We'll just start here on the top. Next to me is Mr. Dave Culross Jr., and we have next to him Mr. Nick or Nicholas Barker, if you will. And then below me, I kind of feel like I want to do the Vivian kicking through the floor here from the young ones. We have Adam Jarvis. Next to him, Mr. Flo Mounier. And last but not certainly least, David McGraw. How are we all doing tonight, guys?
Good, thank you.
Excellent.
Nice. I want to first of all take a minute to say thank you for taking time out of your schedules to join us here. I've done so many of these, and not the roundtables, but I've done so many interviews in the past, and one-on-ones and two-on-ones. The first roundtable we had was just a couple weeks ago with Bittner, Roddy, Rios, and that one went pretty well. So it's an honor. So
thank you for having us. Thank you.
All mine.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
Excellent. Well, we've also got some people popping in here, and we'll get to those comments as we go along later on. But let's just start out by what I like to usually do and make this a kind of a habit is I'll let Dave give himself a little intro, Culross Jr., and just tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up in his household with his dad and then with other musical influence and what he was exposed to around the house at a young age. Go ahead.
When I was younger, I didn't really get the full spectrum of it, because I was so little, but it took me to get older to really appreciate it. But there was always people coming by and always music being played, guys jamming out in the basement, whether it was the guys from Suffo, Malevolent coming over. And there was always something going on at the house and somebody was playing something. So eventually I picked up music in high school and took lessons for about 3 years or about a year. And moved on from then and kind of self-taught since then.
Super sick.
And what was it besides your dad that first got you into music? Was did you play any instruments in school or anything like that?
Yeah. Well, originally it was my pops. But then around 5th grade, 4th grade, I picked up drums and band. And then in high school, I eventually picked up guitar and went from then. I think it really kind of came back in, around 2008 when I went to go see Slipknot because I was really big into them when I was little. And Sean Clown and handing up, giving me his sticks at the end of the show, which was priceless, man.
Right on.
That kind of locked me in. I was like, I'm stuck on this now.
I just love how Dave just mentioned Suffo and Malev, like, so matter of fact, like, It's amazing.
It's fucking awesome.
Desensitized to it.
What's also pretty cool is when I was 19 and Dave Sr. was, 18, 19, that's when we met. We had jam halls next to each other in a rehearsal warehouse. And me and him we did some things on the side outside of the jam hall. And I would go over to his house. And he was the first one that introduced me to None So Vile. Actually, it was at Dave's living room back when he lived off of Mount Reed Boulevard here in Rochester, where I heard you playing for the first time was in Dave's living room.
Nice.
Wow, a long time ago. Cool.
It was a long time ago, over off Driving Park there.
Yeah, we're not getting any younger. It's okay.
No,
actually, Culross Jr., your dad it was your dad that introduced me to Axis pedals back in 1995.
Really?
Holy shit.
Yeah, Malev supported Cradle with Vader and Ancient Rites, I think. I think Solstice was supposed to do it too, but for some reason that didn't happen. But it was Vader and Malevolent, and we did a European tour together in '95, and that's the first time I'd seen Axis pedals, and I was totally blown away. They were like something from another planet, back then.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, what are these?
Mm-hmm.
Was it the A shortboard?
Yeah, and it was your old man that actually turned me on to Axis, and then a year later I managed to get a pair, and then subsequently was endorsed by them.
So sick.
The Axis
Yeah.
powers.
Yeah, get a pair, Nick.
No,
Nice. So yeah, let's move right along, Nick, and we'll make it a little bit of a different question for you. So, what were you exposed to in the household growing up as a kid, music-wise, and then, what or who, if there is a what or who specifically, made you want to play drums? And if you remember that moment or song or album or person or whatever it was, I'd be interested to hear that.
My stepdad, he was an asshole, but he had great taste in music. From an early age, there was always like Queen, Foreigner, Journey, Genesis. So I really got into music at an early age, but as I got older, it started to progress. Like, AC/DC was also a big thing in the house, and then as I got older, I progressed to AC/DC, to Iron Maiden, Motorhead, yada yada, and it was actually seeing Iron Maiden. I think it was the Number of the Beast or Run to the Hills promo video on a show called Top of the Pops in the UK, and I was blown away. Seeing Clive Burr with all his kit and all of the cymbals and the lights and the studs and the leather, it was, that's what I'm gonna do. And that was pretty much what got me into, what I decided to play drums and got me into metal, really.
Now, have you ever played any other instruments?
I had guitar forced onto me as a child, but I just couldn't take to it. I've got sausage fingers.
me too.
So, and I just seemed like hitting things was more my thing. So, I'm self-taught, so I've never had a drum lesson in my life. I couldn't tell you any of the terminology of what I play. I just do my thing.
Wow. All right. Adam, take it away, sir.
Well, I grew up in a pretty musical family. My father, he's a musician. He still plays live to this day, and at this point, I think he plays like 20-something instruments, which is insane. And same as Nick, I just play the drums and beat the shit out of stuff. Try to play guitar, try to play bass. I can, I'm sure we all have the riff folder on our phone where we just hum in to your phone like some stupid ass riff, like whatever. But yeah, so I grew up around drums, and his band used to jam in like the back room, so I'd always go back there and hang out when they were jamming. And I always say it was like around like, I think when I was 8 years old is when I actually, stopped just beating the shit out of drums and tried to learn how to play a beat. My dad was just like, hey, I'll show you just a simple beat and just go from there. And I immediately became obsessed, and my parents were cool that let me play the kit, in the house and stuff. So I would like wait for them to wake up, Saturday morning, and run in there immediately to start playing drums. And I think it was the natural progression of like, Led Zeppelin. I was really obsessed with Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and Yes, and King Crimson, Black Sabbath, of course, and then my cousin John is the older sister. And they started showing me like the heavier stuff. I heard Metallica and Slayer and Sepultura, Morbid Angel, and then it was game over from there, kind of thing. And then I have to mention Demu. That was like one of those life-changing, first time I heard Demu, the Puritanical record, and None So Vile, and Eternal, like that Eternal basically changed my life. Like when I heard that, it was one of those as well, just like new records. Holy shit. That's how you rip, you know? Yeah.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, did you ever jam with your dad, like a gig with him, like fill in or anything like that on anything he's done?
Yeah, he every time I go back home in Illinois, close to St. Louis, he plays in the Zydeco band. He plays accordion and trumpet, tuba, and you know, I don't know if you're familiar with Zydeco music, but it's a good time, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know,
I saw Beetlejuice.
what's that?
I saw Beetlejuice.
Yes. So yeah, whenever I go back home, he'll always like call me up and play a couple songs, and it's funny because I get more nervous to go up and play that than I would like just to go, you know, rip some, you know, death metal or grindcore, you know, whatever. But like calls me up to play some Zydeco. I'm like, oh shit, you know. One night I filled in this like he was jamming with some of his blues buddies, and they wanted me to go play some blues songs. And I was like, no. And he's like, come on, you can do it. And man, I was terrified because, you know, these are older cats, like 60s, 70s, that have been playing the blues like for decades. And I was like, okay. You know, so it's fun stuff, though.
So was there
a very musical family, you know, that helped out a lot.
So you didn't have one particular person that made you say, I want to drum? It was just a mix of, you know, Sepultura and Slayer and Metallica and Nick and Flo?
I think I became obsessed with the live in Seattle, the Binge and Purge, Metallica. I watched that every single day, literally every single day. It's just like the same thing how Nick was saying. That's what I went and saw Metallica when I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
Wow. With my cousin John. That was a life-changing moment. That was like, from there on, it was like, yep, being a band. We started a band. The first band I was in, I was like 11. So, crazy.
Nice. I remember Starbreaker from Sin After Sin, Judas Priest with Simon Phillips was the first song that really made me go, okay. I mean, I loved all of Priest and everything back then, but when I heard that, you know, now it seems like it's, you know, pretty simple, but it's not. You know what I mean? That intro to Starbreaker, I'm like, okay. And I was in a band at school playing clarinet, actually. And I was always looking back at the drummers in the band, and they were all having a good time and goofing around. And I'm sitting there like, you know, this is not fun. And then I heard Starbreaker, and I quit clarinet and went
such a heavy riff too for 1977. That opening riff.
I listened to that record a lot this summer. Actually,
really,
that was one of my jams most of the summer.
Yeah, Last Rose of Summer, a brilliant song.
Yeah, Last Rose of Summer. Yeah, exactly.
And Here Come the Tears.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Sam Lanyon, thanks for joining us. Sam Lanyon just joined up with Max Seaman in Anomalous for their re-recording of the record they did 20 years ago. Sam is now in the band with Max, so thanks for joining us.
Sweet.
Quebec, right?
What's that?
You're from Quebec, right?
Pacific Northwest, I believe. Portland.
Oh, okay.
I believe. I could be wrong. Before we move on to Flo, I also want to say that tonight is the first night that we're not only live streaming to YouTube, but we're also live streaming to Twitch. And I see there's a bunch of people on Twitch watching, but I am not really monitoring or modding the chat, if you will, like you would on a normal stream. But regardless, thanks for joining us, everybody on both channels. All right. Flo, a little background from you, sir.
Yeah. Geez. Well, I grew up in France in the mid 70s. So yeah, I was exposed to quite a lot of music. My parents listened to a lot of music, and in particular, my father. So, I mean, it was a mix of like Beatles and then Johnny Holiday, who would take like American songs and transform them into French, and make them classics over there, and a whole bunch of different stuff. The Sputniks, the Shadows, kind of like older stuff, but really, really cool stuff. And I've always had kind of this like fascination with drums, I believe, because I just remember every time I, go in the city and pass by a music store, I'd always want to look at the drums and go in and maybe check them out and whatever. And at 6 years old, I asked my folks if I could get a lesson and play the drums, and they've always been open to all sorts of stupid stuff that I'd ask them. So they're like, yeah, no problem. So booked a lesson, and I mean, I tell my students this, the people that watch clinics and stuff. This story's been told before. I go in, and the most boring teacher in the world. It was just terrible. I think he had like a nice little 5-piece, and all he uncovered was the snare. The rest was under a blanket. He just says, just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll be back in an hour. I go, wow, great. I'm 6 years old, right? I'm like not impressed at all. He's going around drinking coffee, and yeah, just keep it up. So 1 hour of that, and then I was supposed to go back the week later, and I think my grandmother was coming to visit and stuff like that. So I just had like a bowling fit to stay home, and that was it. So the teachers, be interesting, be motivating, because I could have used that extra 6 years of drumming. Started back when I was in Chicago when we moved to the States, around 12, I guess, my father found this used Gretsch kit. He stripped it down. He spray painted it. He made it look nice and stuff. And it just went from there. Still exposed to more and more music. I think at that time, Van Halen had just come out in 1984, and I really dug that album. I really like Alex's drumming. Same as you guys. Led Zeppelin and all the classics, and it just went on from there. Iron Maiden, because as a kid I thought the covers looked cool, so I had to check it out. And then deeper and deeper into what's now extreme metal. So yeah, exposed to music as a kid, and just always had an interest for drums. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, Mr. McGraw.
Well, I grew up in South America in Santiago, and it's a very metal rock and roll sort of place. I started to get interested in drums because my neighborhood friends one day were like, let's start a band, and I was like, yeah, let's do that. And then they're all like, we'll play guitar and bass. And I was like, oh, well, shit, I guess I'll be the drummer then. I remember going to my parents, and they were like, no, like, are you sure? It's so loud and all this stuff. And it went a while. I had to like bug them for like a year and a half or 2 years before we're able to get a kit, because it's a little harder down there. But not much of a background in musical parents, I guess. My dad did play a little bit of drums, so he was excited to like help me set it up and all that stuff. And I was listening to a lot of Metallica at the time, and I listened to one, and the kick part comes in, and became obsessed with that. But my dad was like, oh, you need to learn how to play Black Sabbath first and Deep Purple and all that stuff. So kind of started there. Of course, Led Zeppelin, a little bit of that, but I was always like, no, I want to play this harder stuff. And but started there, and then of course with my neighborhood friends, we started like learning Metallica covers and Megadeth, and like we were like obsessed on playing that stuff exactly how it was on the record. And but it was tough because you couldn't play anywhere, and parents down there are not really, they don't want their kid to be a musician. It's like, go to school and get a degree, because that's what you got to do. So we would like pack our gear and take like 3 buses and rent a room for like an hour to play our stuff and get drunk and be like young metal dudes and shit. But yeah, Sepultura obviously changed my life. Listening to a lot of power metal, of course, Halloween, English Berg, like, you know, him and like Igor and all those guys, Nick Mensa, obviously all those dudes were super influential. And then, yeah, and then I moved to the States when I was 17, about to turn 18, because I just didn't see any opportunities really if I stayed in Chile. So there was an opportunity to move to the States. I was born here, so I was able to just kind of come in with no problem. And then I immediately started discovering bands that I hadn't heard of while I was in Chile, you know, like Dying Fetus. And of course, I discovered Cryptopsy. I bought a Daniel Beg at the record store. And that was just like, I mean, I think I've even talked to Flo about this when we toured together, but it was just like, I couldn't comprehend how that was even real. And when Puritanical came out, same thing, man. I went out at the record store, and I just remember the first track coming in, and I'm just like looking at my buddy like, dude, what the fuck? Like, just, you know, mind blown. And but yeah, so like, you know, pretty similar to everyone else. Everybody had different sets of challenges and stuff, but obviously was obsessed, you know, with doing that. Like, I moved to the States to do this shit, and I just kind of went from there, you know.
I do know. That's awesome. And it's funny because a lot of the answers we've gotten on these interviews is very, very similar to a lot of the answers you guys just gave, which is interesting to me as well. Real quick question, Flo, is that kit that's at Renee's house in the basement yours, or is that his?
No, that's his.
Is it? All right.
Yeah, it's his. There's like elements of my old kits and old hardware and stuff like that, but he just, you know, yeah, he just makes it special.
I had the opportunity to visit him a year ago when I went on vacation to Old Montreal, and I got to play that kit and see a lot of your old memorabilia and whatnot that he's collected over the years. It was really cool.
Oh yeah, cool. He's a trip for sure. He's great.
So instead of, I'm already going to break the script. I was going to just jump into topic number one.
Nice.
Dave McGraw, real quick, tell us, you just got back from Australia. How'd that go?
Awesome. We love touring Australia. It's fucking great. It's like everything is easy, dude. Fucking people are nice. The food's great. The shows go off. I mean, it's my favorite, probably my favorite place to tour. I mean, obviously you have to fly around and stuff, and you don't get to go super often, but no, it's fantastic. It exceeded our expectations. The last time we were there was actually right before COVID hit. So like we played Australia, New Zealand, then we went to Japan, and that's when like it was already starting to hit and like shows being affected. We almost got stuck in Japan too. We had like a 24-hour window to get out of Japan and go. Our flights were going to Hawaii, and then I guess the like governor of Hawaii is like, no flights coming in from Asia, period. So we were like barely made it in there, but I would have been pretty happy being stuck in Japan for a while, you know.
Yeah, there's worse things in life. Yeah,
I would have eaten all the food, man. Like all the food. So
yeah.
Has everybody have all you guys played Australia?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with Dave. It's my favorite place to tour, and the people are great. The shows are great. It's just an awesome place, and it's a real honor to get to play somewhere like that.
Exactly. It's not easy to get there.
No, it's not.
It's far. It's far, but man,
it's worth it for sure.
Yeah.
What's the one thing that sticks out about Australia, if you don't mind me asking?
I mean, some people call it the British Texas, which
I've never heard that one before.
I think it's awesome.
The best
It's
way to describe,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
the best way to describe Australia is if the US wouldn't have won the War of Independence, America would be like Australia today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because there's a lot of British influence in there because it's like a part of the Commonwealth and it's ex-colony.
Right.
But it's just a super place to play. It's, you know, yeah, I love it. Every time I go there, I'm just sad to leave. It's the moment it starts, then a blink of an eye and it's done, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and then if you're
Yeah.
flying home. Yeah, it's a brutal flight from the UK. Let me tell you, especially to New Zealand.
What is that? 24 hours?
No, like to New Zealand, it's like 30 hours.
Oh wow, I thought it was 30 from here. Never mind.
No, like
36.
I've actually flown to Australia from Rochester when I went down there with nuclear assault. That was that was a long flight too.
Yeah.
Must have been a long flight being stuck sitting next to Eric Burke.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. He's my brother.
he's a good lad, Eric. I got a
He
lot of
sure
time with
is. And Adam, I'm
Um,
sure you've toured Australia because you've probably toured everywhere there is at this point.
Yeah, we only did, Misery Index went down there. It was like 2000. It was Decapitated's first tour back. I'm almost positive it was the first tour back after the whole accident that happened and everything. They had Grim playing drums. And it was amazing. Cause I love Decapitated. I actually never got to see him with B-Tech, unfortunately. But yeah, it was us and Origin and Psychroptic. Yeah, that's the only time I've ever been down there, actually. And we had a day off in Firth, and we went to Bon Scott's burial site.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard how all everything that has been placed there was stolen. This tombstone, then they put some kind of bench or something that was stolen, and then multiple tombstones, I think. And then now it's just this tiny little plaque. Come on.
Damn. Well, they had to put a gate, I think, around Dimebag's burial site with Vinny, because people were just it was starting to get to the point of almost vandalizing, because people are taking stuff, and it's
same with Jim Morrison's grave. I went there, and outside of Paris.
Yeah, Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee's are in Seattle, and
with Bruce Lee.
Those are just fine.
I think he's in the same. Isn't Bruce Lee in the same cemetery as Hendrix?
No, Hendrix is he was from Renton, which is a suburb of Seattle South. So it's too far for tourists to go unless they really want to get out of the way. But yeah, no, Brandon Lee and Bruce Lee are right there in the city and totally fine. But
okay, because I thought I was going to have to be mad at myself because I actually was at Hendrix's gravesite years back, and then we left, and someone said, I think Bruce Lee's buried there too. And I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Right on. Well, instead of going into my first topic, which was going to be talking about the importance of practice and consistency, I think I'd rather just ask if you guys would talk about that amongst yourselves a little bit, because I'd like to hear, if you guys have questions for one another about the importance of practice and consistency, be it when you first started drumming to where you are now, and how much of it has carried with you and how important is it? I don't know. If that's cool, I'll just start with Nick.
I don't really practice as much as I should nowadays. But when I first started out, when I was a teenager, it was every waking moment. But I find as I've got older, I get bored really quickly, playing drums on my own. I need riffs or something to bounce off, something to inspire me. I've tried practicing to click, and I get bored real quickly. I've got a short attention span. After 30 minutes, I'm kind of I need something to inspire me. What I do tend to do is when I do practice, I tend to play along to some of my favorite tracks, favorite bands. Just stick the in-ears in and just play along. Because I don't do it to a click. Sometimes I drift a little bit, but it keeps the chops up, and that's me. So next.
Was that you in the very beginning and now?
Well, that's how I learned to play in the beginning. Is playing along to records. I had a little crappy turntable in my room with the 70s headphones, the big Mickey Mouse type ones with the curly phone cord.
Yeah, Radio Shacks.
Yeah, exactly. And the first drum beat I learned to play was Highway to Hell. you know, and I just learned playing along to records, and within 6 months I was playing along to Master of Puppets.
Nice.
You know, not the faster stuff, but you know, the basic mid-pace, you know, songs on the Master of Puppets. Yeah, it came really quick.
So what did you consider fast on that record? Like Damage Inc. and Battery?
Yeah. I couldn't really do that kind of stuff, but you know, Master of Puppets, Sanitarium, Leper Messiah.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, it was yeah, it's a great album.
Yeah, man. Disposable Heroes.
Oh yeah, I mean, untouchable.
That's probably my favorite Metallica song of all time.
It's that and Orion is my favorite.
Which I just saw them a couple months ago, and they played Orion.
Oh wow,
seriously,
That's
Orion.
wow.
They did this whole like epic build up, and then all of a sudden you just realized what was about to happen. It was like looked at my buddy Justin, and we're just like, oh shit.
I don't think they play that one live often, no.
No.
no, I've seen them 10 times, and I've only seen that song twice.
There you go.
Yeah.
Damn. I wanted to echo a little bit of what Nick was saying, because you know, I think the last time I actually really sat down to practice was a very long time ago. I mean, like, you know, I'm going to do this, put like a timer on, hopefully not get distracted, because I get distracted very easily. But I was still having fun doing that. But now it's just, you know, even when I force myself to like sit down and play, I mean, the last thing I want to do is play metal. And I know that sounds weird, but it's just without riffs and stuff. It's, you know, it's just not fun. It's just not fun. And as a kid, I mean, I learned how to play drums by learning songs from other, you know, from bands that I liked. And then eventually the difficulty went up. You know, I mean, I love Dream Theater. So like I would play along on the first, on Images and Words, you know, or Destroy Race and Proof from Meshuggah and stuff like that. And then eventually it go up and up. But even then, like just, I'll go a long time without even picking up a pair of sticks, and that, you know, it's not optimal, but whenever we get ready for a tour, I mean, it's get to the jam room a couple of days before we go on tour, and it's all right there, you know. So that's just how it's been for me for a few years now, for a while.
I think it's good taking a break too, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like stepping away and then coming back kind of fresh, and it kind of makes it a little bit more fun.
Yeah,
Kind of sucks though at the same time, because all the muscles are stiff, you know, and you take a break from the kit, and that first couple of jams, you know, like everything's sore and stiff, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, the first jam is always like, oh shit, I really need to be practicing, you know. And then like by the second set or like the second day, I'm just like, oh no, there it is. It's all right. Okay, there it is. It's back. You know.
That's surprising to me that you just pick up the sticks a couple of days before a tour. I mean, Cattle plays at some pretty incredible speeds. How often? I mean, so if that's the case, and you just do that, then what's your like pre-show? How much time do you spend warming up before you actually play in front of a crowd nowadays?
No, so that for me, with time, has become even more important. So like early on, yes, I would warm up, but I just wasn't. I don't know. I didn't have to like spend as much time getting in the zone. But like now, I really try to just disconnect from everything. You know, like I won't hang out with friends. You know, if there's friends at the show and they want to hang out, I'm just like, I have to do this. I even tell my wife, like, hey, an hour before the set, like I really need to just be by myself. I need to be alone. I need to clear my head. I'll grab a set list and just kind of like in my head go through how each song starts, the click cues, just to like get my head at the game, you know. And obviously warming up, I started it's kind of a pain in the butt, but I started bringing around the foot trigger, the foot blaster practice pad for the kicks.
Yeah,
they're like the best ones ever. They're solid as hell, right? So I started bringing those and an extra set of pedals. It added more time to my setup, but it's been rad. Like get on stage already fairly warmed up, or I'll try to do some jump rope to just get my heart rate going. I mean, I don't do that often, right? But like if I really feel like I need to do it, I'll do it. Obviously the pad and all that stuff, but even if I don't get a chance to hit the pads as much as I want to, I just really need that like alone time to just kind of get my head in the game, Anytime I remember I was trying to get this engagement ring for my wife, right? And FedEx was messing up real bad, like horribly.
Shocking.
And I get on the phone with them, and I'm just pissed. I'm just fucking so pissed, dude. And I didn't get to have my, my time to clear my head, and I fucking botched that set, dude. Like, I fucked up a cue. I mean, it was bad. Like, since I haven't fucked up like that in a while, so it's just like, it made me realize the importance of just clearing your head, at least for me.
I think
I talked to Igor a while back, and he was saying how he's not a fan of warming up, but he was like explaining, he's like, yeah, like our mother is like she's like a witch, and was like going into this like crazy story about like his childhood and all this. Just like, holy shit. He was saying that he like right before they go on, he shuts down. He does this like ritual thing where he like just kind of like shuts himself down, and then like it's like a whole psychological thing, like you're saying, like you need that clear your head kind of thing, and then it's like all of a sudden it's just like opens his eyes and it's just like he's ready.
But it's also conserving your energy. So like, again, I'm gonna bring out my wife, but she's like, why don't you hit the gym before after sound check? And I'm just like, yeah, I've done that, but just like hanging out with people, I'm giving away all this energy, so I'm trying to like stay as explosive as I can, I guess, if it makes sense. I'm just trying to contain all that energy, so that way when I go to do what I'm supposed to do, which is why I'm out there doing that, I can provide that sort of like explosive effect, because if you're just all day giving your energy away, you're going to go up there and you're just kind of depleted. It doesn't mean you're not going to play well or not have a good set, but I want to enjoy the set also. Like, I get a buzz from having a good set. So
I'll feel that way at a festival, like a big festival. Like even if it's the middle of a tour, you like hit like Health Fest, and then all of a sudden you're just like, fuck, because you see so many people, and like you said, you're always running around before the set.
Well, you're running around trying to set up this kit. Oh fuck! Like this piece of hardware, the felts are shot. You're just like trying to put your shit together, and there's always something, and you don't get that. So, I mean, as much as I love playing festivals, they're also like my least favorite because you don't get that.
I hate them.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot more stress. A lot more stress in shows for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
For us drummers, it's the most stressful. Here's a
just kind of, it cracks me up. They're like, oh, here's the top of the line kit, but we're gonna put you on a riser that's like a trampoline.
Right.
It's like boing, boing, boing. It's like
or it's a top of the line kit and all the heads are shot, like the cymbal felts are fucked, there's no cymbal sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
The hardware shot, there's always something. I mean, like a dual rectifier is a dual rectifier. You just plug in and go.
Yeah.
Us drummers, we
must be nice.
See, that's the thing. Like touring Australia, right? Like because of the nature of it, there was a different kit every night, right? And I tell my guys all the time, I'm like, dude, you get to take your baby with you. You got your girl, then it's just the same thing every night for you. But for me, I'm just like playing a new instrument every night, even if it has the wrong type of heads that could affect me. Like, you put on the thing like, hey man, I need clear heads. Oh no, we're gonna put coated fucking Emperor X heads on everything, And I'm just like, okay, well this
Emperor X, they sound great at the Ambassadors. They sound great when they're new. but they'd last like one show.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Or if they don't project properly, like you think you're not hitting hard enough, right? So you're like having to overcompensate for that. That's why I'm like, clear heads, dude. Just a clear emperor. Just that's it. We're like, oh, we're a backline company. We're gonna put the thickest heads we can find. It's like, okay.
The worst is touring South America, Latin America.
Oof.
You know, like, oh man, it's just pure stress for me.
Yeah.
You know, nothing.
Well, the mentality down there is always like, oh, we'll figure it out. You know, it's like
mañana.
Yeah.
No, it's kind of like this, you know, because it's, I don't know, it's always been a little harder down there. They just kind of like, if you complain about it, they make it out to be a rock star thing. It's like, no, it's in order for me to perform, you know.
It is getting better down there. I mean, I played on a killer reference kit in El Salvador, you know,
of all places, man.
Yeah, exactly. And then you play somewhere like Sao Paulo or Rio, and it's just the kit's dog shit, you know. Like,
I've had to play on bar stools before in South America.
Oof.
I wasn't very happy because I mean, throne height is quite important, you know, for me.
Huge.
I have a small measuring tape in my drumstick bag just to make sure it's pretty much the way it's supposed to be, you know.
No, that's great advice.
Mm.
And what about your practice regimens from back in the day till now? We didn't get your take on that.
Oh, myself, Ian?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to practice a lot as a kid, and with the band, it was like a religious three times a week kind of thing. When I had my house, I would like to do kind of I did a lot of testing. So I would go to my gym and work out, and then different parts like drum related stuff, and I learned a lot from doing that, and then hit the drums and see what effects it has on playing. So at one point I was doing like maybe an hour. I can't do more than an hour and a half. I get like everybody else. I get really bored. Since I don't have the house anymore, I haven't been playing all that much. So it's kind of like Nick and David were saying, you know, it's like a couple jams before a tour starts. I got like in the apartment I'm in now, I just kind of like have a little setup with a practice pad, but that's where my work clothes go for that day. But no, I got my electronic kit back recently from Texas, so I'll probably like set up some kind of little pads. The bass drum is really cool on the TD30, so I can put my doubles on there and try out the new Pearl pedals on that. But I'm still using the Axis, so it'll be fine. This tour worked out really good, the last one we did, and I hadn't played in about 2 years because I was kind of traveling all over the place with the family. So I'll get back into it. I like practicing just for the physical challenge of it, and then testing different boundaries and, you know, different muscle groups and stuff. But I get bored, like, you know, like everybody else, I think, really, really fast, and I get distracted, and there's always something to do, and so.
What about?
It's a work in progress, if you wish.
What about before a show? How long do you spend?
I'm the exact same way as Dave. I mean, yeah. I like to take an hour to first of all get my mind into it. I will do the beginning of songs in my head as well. Not always, but I think it does help. And then I have different physical exercises and some stretching stuff that I do, and then I hit with the sticks and just with the feet. Different tapping stuff with the feet, no pedals. That's because I'm too lazy. David, kudos. But then it's just the sticks, and you know what? I use those Vic Firth with the rubber tips there, so I can just hit anywhere. So I'm in the bus, and it's like, sorry guys, here we go. You know, it's anywhere backstage. Oh, you're working on your laptop. Yeah, here we go. You know, so. Yeah. I do have to get into that zone, and I know when I'm in that zone, physically and mentally, it always helps. It makes the show, you know, feel good instead of being work, or being an unnecessary workout. I'd rather feel great playing and have it flow,
Have
No
it flow.
pun intended.
Yeah.
So a minute ago, Nick and Dave were talking about having a set of heads last them through one show, and I'm guessing if those were the same heads that Adam used, it might go through like half a song.
Yeah, right.
Because I know you guys hit hard, but aside from Eloy Casagrande, I've never seen anybody hit harder than you, Jarvis. How often do you change heads every set if you can?
No.
No.
No, hell no.
Maybe
Dude.
or, I mean, it's self-taught. I learned a few tricks from my dad, and I kind of just went from there, like full caveman style. That's always been like, one of my weaknesses is like technique. So when I do practice, that's like something I try to focus on more.
Right arm.
Right arm, exactly.
Dude, Adrian hits hard. Adrian Erlinson.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh yeah.
I have not seen At the Gates live either.
No, I think the first. We played a bunch of shows with them before we did the tour, and he was playing with them, and they needed to use my kit, and of course I'm like, oh, Adrian Erlinson. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude! Like, please go ahead. And dude, I mean, like,
Right, regret.
I mean, everything was like serious dents, and everything. I mean, it was obviously cool to see him play on the kit, but I think we did the same thing again later, and I was like, hey guys,
Nope.
sorry to no, I mean, like, you can use the kit, but if you could, throw me a little something for the heads, because I'm gonna have to change them, and like. But no, that man hits hard, dude. That man hits hard.
Let's ask Jason Bittner what he thinks about Adrian playing his drums. We're going to take a quick 30 seconds here and hear from Evans, and then when we come back, we'll see. I believe Dave Jr. there will introduce the next topic, and we'll just see where that goes. So we'll be back in 30.
The most technically advanced drummers in the world require the most technologically advanced drumheads. Bit of a no-brainer when you think about it. In any case, we're more than happy to oblige.
Nice.
All right. I'm going to
That
play
was
that.
30 seconds.
That was like
It
really
was actually 15, sorry.
Damn.
I can just keep playing Jason for 15 more seconds.
like 3 Big Destroyer songs could have been played during that time.
Well, we got a song coming up from you.
Nice shirt, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
So sick.
Decibel Beer and Metal Festival.
Oh yeah.
We can
One thing I
also,
want to bring up, we were talking about, warming up and all that, but what about the pre-show nap?
Oof.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yes. You gotta be careful with those, though, man.
Be careful.
Yeah.
I had a very long talk with actually Alex Webster. He's all about the pre-show nap. And when we toured with him, he was just like, yeah, but you have to set an alarm. You can't get too comfortable. But it's also like one of those like where you like, you don't want a 30-minute nap. You want a quick, I heard this story about like the monks will like fall asleep like this with like a key in their hand or something. And like once you lose that consciousness, the key drops. That's like the right amount of sleep to like kind of reset your brain.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
It takes me forever to wake up, though, dude. Like, I cannot. Like, if I take a nap, I mean, there's no way I can sleep less than 30 to 45. And then I wake up and
because then you're going to start slipping into that REM sleep.
yeah, but yeah, that's why. And then after that, I need like an hour and a half, 2 hours to wake my ass up and drink a bunch of coffee. And
Especially if you're on a bus, it's like
What's up, Ricky?
you hit dinner and then it's like straight to the bunk.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Bathroom first, then the bunk.
oh.
Probably,
Dude, that lie down after a meal is just like it's heaven. It's just like better than going to sleep
So-
at the end of the day.
So for
Exactly.
me, that pre-show nap, that's kind of like my zone time.
I agree.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'll wake up an hour before and then try and unfuck myself. You know, and
Yeah.
get with it. Yeah.
I got to find a way to unfuck this nap. All right, Mr. Culross Jr.
This was a question that I came up with because it really interests me. I know that everybody's got their own upbringings. So this, whoever wants to take it can lead off with it. But my question here was, how did you know that you could make a career off of music? And what, or did you have somebody that was giving you confidence to take off with it? Like kind of somebody in your corner telling you, go do it, make your dreams come true.
Nick, you want to take this?
I started off as a tech, first of all. Well, back then you were called a roadie, but yeah, I'd never been on tour before, and I got the chance to tech for, the UK death metal band Cancer.
Yep.
They played with Deicide on the very first Deicide album, 1990, and that was my introduction. I was already playing, I already had my own death metal band then, and because I got into the tech thing early, I worked for Deicide, Cancer. We toured with Malevolent Creation, and I worked with Pestilence, Obituary, back in the early days, and that gave me the opportunity to peddle my own music, amongst my peers, and eventually, I was tape trading at the time, and I got friendly with the Cradle of Filth dudes, and at the time, death metal was kind of stagnating a little, and this underground thing called black metal was really gaining a lot of popularity on the tape trading scene. And I joined Cradle, and they were still a demo band, and I was just so into the music and just so dedicated. We were all on welfare and shit. There was no money, but we were just so gung ho and just focused on, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And eventually it paid off, I guess.
Well,
but that's not to
I hear
say,
tech, like a lot of people kind of get into the industry by, starting off as a tech and working with these other bands, because you can make tons of connections by doing it too.
Yeah, that's what happened. I was a total rookie at 17. I've never toured before. I didn't know how a stage worked. But 3 days into the tour, and Glenn Benton saying, "Hey kid, you want to work for Deicide?" Like, yes, please, Mr. Benson.
That's awesome.
And it went from there, and I've been friends with Glenn ever since. I've known, like, the Lev dudes. I've known them since 1991. I've known Glenn since 1990.
Right.
And that was my foot in the door, so to speak.
Right on.
It's awesome.
The machine, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, really? Thanks.
Yeah.
All of you guys blow me away.
Come on.
Likewise.
Yeah, I didn't. To answer your question, David, I didn't expect to be doing this for this long at all.
Was it 31 years now in cryptopsy?
Oh, if not a little bit more, yeah.
Congratulations.
No, thank you. I think I was in university when I recorded Non So Vile. And I was doing this communications degree, so basically film and media and photography and stuff like that. And I kind of thought I wanted to go into film, and then it just took off, so I just followed along, and what happened. But I don't think I ever like envisioned a career, and I should have. Maybe I would have got like good lawyers and and accountants to begin with.
I think that goes for everybody,
right? And set that all up, because like Nick, we were making nothing. It's like white bread and bologna sandwich tours, and I think we were getting paid with a couple 2-4s of beer, and so yeah. It just evolved from there, but it was a lot of hard work at first, I must say. Yeah. But it was fun. It was always fun, though. That was the point. I think that's why I stuck stuck to it because there's nothing like being on a stage and performing well. That feeling is special. No?
That's the reward.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a reward. It's like, as everybody knows, it's like money isn't in death metal and grindcore.
Nope.
It's like you can have some fun and jam with the boys, but it's like, yeah, I think if we had the eye on the prize to like just playing music, we probably wouldn't wanted to just stick
pop rock, man.
Yeah, exactly. Country.
Yeah.
Country music.
Now, with how the music industry's changed, and also like post-pandemic, how the touring costs now are just astronomical. And
it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Mhm.
venues taking merch cuts now everywhere, and it's fucked. It's really hard. It's the hardest it's ever been.
Yeah, there's always a few hands in the band's pockets for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's awful.
Well, and also there's, I hate to say luck because it's not luck. Everybody worked really hard, but at the end of the day, people have to like the music you're putting out.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's all subjective, I guess. I know people that have fucking busted their asses, and they just never got to the point to where they could even tour. There's plenty of bands out there from other parts in the world where just certain markets, they just don't. I remember seeing Stratovarius in the States, and it was fucking sad because like power metal in the States just never was a thing, right? So obviously in Europe, South America, and Asia, they're gods, but there's all these variables, to consider. And yeah, things are harder now, I guess, but they're also super easy also in another way. Like some bands are, that go viral because of whatever. It's just, back in the day, it was like a respect and honor thing to, look up to these other bands that were out there and doing it and putting in the hard work. And now it's like, I think that's kind of lost. And, you get called a gatekeeper, which I fucking hate because, when I was getting into the metal scene, man, you have to respect it. There wasn't Wikipedia that I could go to or put in Google death metal and then just have like a 3-hour YouTube tutorial on how to what to listen to. I had to trade tapes. I went to record stores and I discovered Cryptopsy by going to a record store, looking at the record, and I was like, oh man, this logo is sick. And then it was like, oh, Century Media, fuck yeah. That's how I just, granted, yeah, it's better now because of all the exposure, but at the same time, I feel like the value has decreased, So
yeah, absolutely.
It's a balance.
Yeah, the hunt.
Yeah, that was great.
Well, but it made you, appreciate the art more. You had to work at it,
It's that anticipation thing too. It's like kids, at Christmas. They anticipate Christmas. Once that day is over, it's so like that hunt for that tape or that CD or that vinyl was so much fun back in the day.
Yeah.
You was counting down the days,
but like the magic, the mysticism of it all, man.
The new Cradle would hit, and everybody would be lining up at the music store to try to get their copy because there was a select few as well.
Yeah. Dude, I used to go to shows as a kid in Chile, and I was scared, man. It was like fuck, man. It made you respect the scene, and there'd be cops everywhere, and I'm like, oh shit, am I gonna get beat up by the cops, or am I gonna get beat up by the older metalheads because I'm a kid and I look like a poser, It's fucking,
Player shows in the 80s, they were scary.
Oh yeah, man.
Yes,
But and on the flip side of that, it's cool that now shows are packed and people can go, and there's, I guess, none of that. But it's helped. I think that metal right now is bigger than it's ever been. The amount of European festivals alone and the success of that should say it.
Definitely grown, that's for sure.
But then again, it's a bunch of other people making the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we talked a little bit there about old versus new, a little bit with the way the music is and the tapes and whatnot, and how everything digitally available now. I don't know if we touched on that, but kind of leads me into the next. Did everybody answer on Dave's topic, Dave, or are we good? Or
Yeah.
did anybody else want to say anything about Dave's question? Or cool. All right. So Nick, you're recording right now. You mentioned at the beginning of this before we went live. You're in the middle of or almost done with Barstow, or
No, I tracked the drums with Andy Sneed, and I'm just here at my guitarist place in London, but just doing some pre-production guitar shit, and it's kind of boring for me, but it's a weekend away, so. But the drums are already done with Andy, and the new Brujeria album's just dropped. Also, the Shining record that I did, the Brujeria and Shining records dropped on the same day, and they both seem to be doing really well.
So the segue then into this topic, I suppose, I won't even call it a question, is pre-production. Let's just start it with there. What are your thoughts on how you used to track versus how we track now, be it at home with a home studio setup or a computer versus going into a full studio for pre-production back in the day? What are your thoughts on the availability of the new techniques and the new software, I guess, from days of old till now? Love it or hate it, or both?
Yeah, it's like a blessing and a curse, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, back in the day when you had to track to tape, you had to have your shit down. Otherwise it sounded like shit. And I think modern technology now has made, it's not all musicians, but it's made a degree of musicians and players like kind of not labeled, maybe a little bit complacent. Just copy and paste that. Oh, we can fix that later. I mean, I prefer it because I've always suffered from really bad anxiety in the studio. I get red light fever. Like all the cool shit that I did. All the cool shit that I did in the jam room, kind of, it all goes out of the window when and I just have really bad anxiety. So, like the modern way of recording, sometimes it helps me. I'll be the first to admit, my kick drums have been fixed in the past, but I always make sure that I can play that shit live,
Yeah.
I don't want people to see it's fucking phony. It's a fake.
Right.
Well, you don't have the red light fever, so to speak, like you said, when you're playing it live, because you got the adrenaline and you're not looking at the red light.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, in the studio, I build myself up mentally like, oh, fuck, this is it. Whatever you lay down now, this is it. It's frozen in time, and you've got to deliver. You've got to, and it's just, I build myself up into this such a anxious state. It just fucks with my, my mojo.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nick. Yep.
It's hard to make that commitment.
It's.
But it's like you can always do better.
What's that, Adam?
No, I was just saying it's hard to make that commitment when you know that it's like, okay, well, I could probably do that better, but you have somebody else telling you like, no, that sounded sick. You're like,
what's helped me out?
You got to just move on. Yeah.
I always question my shit in the studio, and it's all the other people that have to. No, it's good. Let it go. I'm full of self-doubt.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Flo?
Oh, I think we all are. I think we're all full of self-doubt. I think what I mean, back in the day was, it wasn't even to a click track when, the first Cryptopsies, and I mean, obviously, but it was on tape, and it was, go, and you have to know your stuff. And I've had that red light fever too, big time. I'm not a big fan of studio, but
me neither.
Yeah, what's helped me out a lot recently is trying to do not necessarily on the beats so much, but then again but on the fills I try to improvise. I try to do a lot of improvisation since we can do different takes and stuff like that. I'll do a lot of improvisation, and then I'll choose the best one, or the one that I like the most. And what happened with this new record that we just did is that we did this like 2 years ago. So a lot of the fills were improv, and then it's like, oh, we have to tour now, so I have to relearn these. Hold on, and it was a nice little challenge, I must say, and but tons of fun to play live. So I guess to take away that stress that, okay, I have to, this is the fill I want, I have to nail it here. I try to just go with it and see what happens. And a lot of times, I guess, at a certain level, and we've all been doing this for a long time, you kind of know what to expect too, and it's going to turn out great. It's just like work, you put one brick at a time to build that house. And with this, well, you do one part at a time to build the album, and then it's the guitar player's turn and the bassist's turn and the vocalist. So you're building something with the team. And I'm trying to get a new perspective on studio. I'm starting to like it more, but it's always been kind of just like, oh no, studio. Well,
trying to turn into that Fates Warning studio band, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't record to a click back then, probably because there weren't any clicks that could go that fast, I would imagine.
No, I think it's just again sheer laziness.
It's an interesting point too, because I just had Ken Schalk and Elliot Hoffman on one of these interviews a little while back, and what blew my mind is that Elliot and Carbomb have never used a click in the studio or live.
Wow.
And what he says he'll do is he'll go into the studio and he'll track like 6 or 7 or 8 different ideas for one section of a song, then 6 or 7 or 8 for the next section of the song, and they'll just record them all, go and listen back to them, and take the picks they like, meld them into one song, and then learn that as the song to play live.
No, right on.
Is anybody else crazy enough like Elliot to do that shit, or is he just...
I would love to be able to do that. I mean, the thing I've always wanted to have a setup like that at home, but I've moved around a lot and whatever, XYZ. I mean, I could still do it, I guess, but I wish we could do that, because I mean, at least when I go into the studio, I have a general idea of what I want to lay down. Obviously things change. We've recorded with Otero now like 4 times, so it's kind of nice because I already know what to expect from the workflow. But
that's nice too, because he's a killer drummer himself.
no, all around, yeah, he's fantastic, But I actually developed like arm injuries after this last after the last record we did, because it's like, no, I hit harder, and I'm like, holy fuck, dude! If I hit harder, I'm going, like, it was insane. But yes, but no, I would like to do that. I wish. I don't know. We're very old school in how we write. Like, we don't do the remote thing. Most of us live in different parts of the world now. So what we do is we get together for like literally 2 days every month when we're writing, and just have like very intense sessions, and they're all like just organic, and when our pre-pro is a joke for today's standards. I mean, we literally put a shitty Zoom recorder, and that's the demo. But obviously in our head we have like a whole layout of like, okay, well, there's gonna be a layer here, and there's gonna be this and that and this and that. So kudos to Otero, because every time we show up, it's like, all right, man, here's the shitty ass demo, but don't worry, there's a lot of cool shit we're gonna add later.
And nothing bad about Zoom. I mean, they're great. I mean, I got a Q8 that I use to record live bands in the back of the room by the soundboard, and it comes out. I mean, and it's an older unit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
it's not the unit. It's the user. It's the user. Sure. We just suck at recording.
Let me say hello real quick to one of the guys in chat here, Cam Fleury. I don't know if you guys know him. Flo, you might know him. He's a Canadian drummer from a band called Terror Horse back in the day. Mm-hmm. Instructor, DVD. I think he's doing it full time right now, but he's a killer drummer, man. Thanks for joining us, Cam.
You're welcome.
But yeah, Dave, did you have anything else you wanted to say about recording then versus now, or was that pretty much it, or is he frozen, or
which Dave maybe?
Oh, Can I say
McGraw or Culross? Which one?
Pinochet?
Oh Lord, going old school. I don't know. I mean, I'll say something quick. I mean, I like all the tools that are out there now to expedite the process. Obviously, you know, it'd be really cool to have the money to like get it right. Like, all right, we're gonna spend 2 weeks doing drums. Like that would be fucking awesome. But you know, it's expensive. So, you know, if we can clean up, usually, I mean, everybody out there probably has had their kicks fixed. It's just normal. I mean, the guitars have stuff fixed. It there's nothing wrong with that. It comes with the territory. But I do think that it's kind of spoiled some people, like Nick said. So those are my 2 cents.
And like Nick said also a few minutes ago, it was more expensive. And, you know, going back to the days of tape or ADAT or whatever it may be, you make a mistake, you got to start over. And even if you didn't make a mistake and everything was great, they got to stop and change reels. You know what I mean? And you know, you can't make mistakes back then. So you had to know your shit going in. You know,
another
nowadays,
thing that,
you know,
another thing that you know, would really fuck with me too is because, you know, as drummers, we're up first, and you know, the rest of the back, like, hey, the longer you take means less time for us.
Yeah, no pressure, right?
So yeah, there's also that added pressure, you know. And, but I will say this, though. I think one of the guys touched upon it earlier. What is a big help is when you have a working relationship with a producer and you've worked with that person many times. They know the vibe, and they know how you tick, and you know how to bring the best out of you in the studio too. I mean, working with Andy Sneap, I feel very fortunate because we were friends since we were teenagers, and we're working with Russ Russell too. Those guys know my shit. They know what makes me tick in the studio. They know what buttons to push to get the best out of me. You know.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah, it's very important.
That's a definite bonus.
Otero knows all my buttons. He knows all my buttons.
Yeah, I mean,
you suck. Hey, that was weak as fuck. Oh shit.
Oh yeah. Sneap's not big on compliments, trust me. And you know, I'll be playing along, and he'll hit the talk back and back. It will be killer if you played to the fucking click.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true, Nick. I've been, you know, working with my guitar player, well, with Cryptopsy and other projects I've recorded, and Chris Donaldson, and he's just super. He knows exactly what to do, and the right buttons, and he's got ideas too, which is great. You know, I mean, it's like, you know, what do I do here, man? I've done everything. Why don't you try this? You know, so it helps definitely. The comfort zone.
Let me take a pause here. Yes. Everyone say hello to Dave Culross Sr., who is listening, but he is not in the YouTube chat because he doesn't have a YouTube account right this second, but he wanted to say hello.
What's up, brother?
That's pretty wild. Hi, Dave.
What's up, Pops?
Miss you, brother. I'll call you soon, but thanks for watching. That's great. So cool. Next topic then, I guess, Dave, you want to jump into your next question while the old man
Sure. So, I mean, I know that today, obviously nowadays, the metal scene is very different from, 30 years ago, and getting your band kind of more recognized is totally different now. How do you feel the importance of social media for band growth, and what do you kind of think about that as compared to back in the day?
Oof. Ooh. That's gonna be a hefty one.
It's a deep cut.
I heard an oof in there.
That was me.
Double-edged sword.
I think social media it's become a necessary evil. Back in the day, it was all about the tape trading, sending out flyers, flyering shows, and just like, hitting all the fanzines, printed fanzines that. People today probably don't even know a lot of the young people. But it's weird. Like social media now, it's even promoters and labels. They're more interested in so how many followers you have, how many likes. That seems to be a big deal now. And I'm sure some bands out there massage the figures.
Yeah, well, I don't mean to interrupt, but what I don't like about that is that it's a metric that you really don't know, like, if it works or not. And what I'm saying is, what kind of people are watching this, right? So you could have, I don't know, some drummer, or not a drummer, but anyone have like 1 million views, right, on some video. Good for them, awesome. But then, you know, it's like, okay, but how many of those views are people that are going to go out and be like, hey man, I want to get this ride because I saw it on this video. I don't think that metric transfers like that, because one thing that hasn't changed is kids or people in general who, you know, listen to this kind of music or anything, there's a high chance that they're going to end up being musicians, or they're interested, or they play an instrument. And when they come out to the show and they're looking at what gear you're playing, you know, they're going to be the ones that go out and try to get that or whatever. If they're getting into it, I mean, at least that's what I used to do. And now the metrics are, okay, well, how many followers do you have? And it's like, you know, it sucks, because I don't know. It's a double-edged sword. I think it's good.
Do you mean the metrics? Do you mean the metrics as far as you're being measured against the metrics to obtain a deal with a record label or an endorsement?
No, like, for example, if you know, you're touring a lot and doing high-profile tours, right? But you don't have much of a presence in social media. You know, my chances or someone's chances of getting an endorsement are going to be low compared to someone that's never toured, and they're a social media genius, right? But at the same time, it's like, how are they using that metric? Are they going, okay, so this is how much exposure this person's getting to our gear? So they base that they say, okay, well, these people are going to go out and, or a certain amount of these views are going to turn into sales. I don't know. Maybe it works. That's why they've kept doing it. I don't know, but I just don't agree with it. You know, that's just my own little chip on my shoulder with that.
Well, there are ways now versus like back in the day when people used to take out ads in print magazines where there's no real ROI or way to gauge your return on your investment for putting those ads in those magazines, unless you had a coupon that you clipped out of the magazine that you took in somewhere, which, you know, was rare.
Yeah, but you have to buy that magazine, right? So,
yes.
Like, the person going out to buy that magazine there's already interest in there, right? It could be my grandma watching one of these videos, dude. You know, or you know, I'm just not a fan of it personally, but.
Well, I was going to say that there are ways you can monetize and monitor, if you will, the effectiveness of your follows on social media by the use of something like let's just say a QR code.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So if someone's following you on your social media and you put out a new record or something and say, hey, followers, here's a 5% discount, or, you know, go check out my personal sticks over at Guitar Center, whatever you may do, you can use the QR code to track how many people are actually, you know, doing something positive in response to what you put out on social media, whereas before you couldn't.
But I think it's also a little bit of a generational thing, because I remember maybe like 11 years ago, you know, one of my coworkers was like, dude, why don't you do a YouTube channel and like put up goofy videos or like, you know, covers and stuff? I'm like, dude, first of all, I mean, I'm not interested in that. Like I started doing this so I could go play shows, be in a band, you know, and do that. Like, you know, I don't want to have to do that in order to gain more exposure. So, I mean, I guess if you try and it works out for you, awesome. We all know people that have gone that route and it worked out for them, and that's fucking great. I think that's rad. But that's not what I chose. You know, I didn't sign up to have to go be an entertainer online in order to do this shit. That's just my personal take on it. You know, nothing against people that do it.
There's a lot of people that feel that way. 100%.
Yeah. Like basically almost like a full-time job at that.
That's what it becomes, yeah.
Keeping up.
That's what it becomes, yeah.
Well, I guess it goes back to, too, how did you, if you mentioned this before and I forgot, I'm sorry, but how did you get into cattle if you're not putting yourself out there on social? How did you meet the guys and they'd say, hey, Dave, you want to be our drummer? Like, Adam, you don't need social media anymore because you're in a lot of high-profile bands and you're a hired, you know, people know that you're available If they have an existing band that's touring or doing an album and something happens to their other drummer, they can go, okay, who can I call? Okay,
Well,
what about Jarvis? Like,
it wasn't YouTube. It was MySpace. Back in the day with my old band, and there was a little bit of traction there, And
you say
but
MySpace?
I also, yeah, MySpace. But there wasn't any videos or anything. It was just sort of like, oh, we heard of this band and they hit me up. There was other bands hitting me up too, which was cool, but it was playing shows. I mean, I had moved to Sacramento with my guitar player at the time. I was following him because I was devoted to the project at the time, and we were going to the Bay Area and playing shows. And we booked my first tour ever. We booked through MySpace, which was pretty cool. And we rented a soccer mom van, lied about where we were going. I had no cases for the drums, so they got fucked. Printed all the directions on MapQuest, all that shit.
Oh my God, we're old.
Yeah,
yeah,
but dude, but you know what? The first time I met John Longstreth was on that tour. We opened for them. First time we played a show with Suffo was that way. That's Robot Mosh Fest. I don't know if you remember that, Adam.
Oh yeah.
That was a super sick one, and that's where I met Travis and Josh. It's because I was there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that was a sick fucking.
Yeah.
That was super sick.
Last night from Animosity, and he's in Theos. We were talking about the tour last night.
Oh, that tour, yeah.
From a second, Steers and Beers tour.
Steers and Beers.
Shop for Cowboy was the opening band.
Yeah, I remember.
Wow.
These teenagers, and we're all just like, who the hell is this band? And literally every night, these kids would come out, scream, just go bananas for this band, and they would leave. They would straight up leave. That's the only band they wanted to see. And we were all like, okay, what's going on?
Was that the year you joined MI? Was it 06?
It was a couple years after I joined.
Okay, because I remember seeing, I don't know if it was your first tour with them, but it was 05 or 06 at Studio 7.
Big Terror then. Right?
Yeah.
19 years now. I did all the math on everybody's bands before the interview. 19 years you've been with Misery Index.
Yeah.
And I remember that because I'm a huge MI fan, and I was like, oh, I got to see the new drummer. It was fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah, man. Speaking of feeling old, I actually sent in a VHS. That's how I got into Misery Index. I found out last minute that they were looking for a drummer.
Hey, I've still got all my old school metal VHS videos from when I was a kid. I've still got a VCR.
Yeah,
man, I wish I still did. Fuck.
Wow.
I love watching old horror movies on VHS.
Well, let me.
I sent it to Kevin Talley. I actually had to overnight it, and he called me the next day.
You should have used the Pony Express, bro.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I bought his tape of his auditions with Slayer.
Yep. I have
at a MI show in 05. Bruce was playing with them.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Well, let me real quick, Dave's question, Culross question, the importance of social media. I say that if you're not someone who's in the scene and you have a name for yourself already, then it's great. And if you have a product you're trying to sell, or a drum book, or your new album, or whatever it is, if you're a recording engineer or an artist making album covers, utilize social media to your best ability. It's not going anywhere.
A perfect example of that.
And there's ways to streamline it. You can use a service. You can use. Sorry, Nick. You can use a service where you post one thing and it'll post to all of your platforms at once and save you some time. You know what I mean? So there's ways to look at it and trick it and make it work for you. And if you're not doing it, I think it's an opportunity lost at this point.
Well, that's right. That's what I tell myself all the time. And I mean, there's so many opportunities, right? There's so many ways you can be doing this. The thing that happens is that a lot of us, I mean, maybe old school musicians or not, because I'm super social media shy. I don't like to air everything out to the public. And I'm super, tech stupid. All right. I'd rather like use my hands and my mind to make things happen. So I mean, I'd rather drive heavy machinery than spend like 5 minutes or 5 extra minutes on the computer kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just not for everybody, you know. And I know there's tons of opportunity loss. I know there's tons of business that can be done that way, and stuff that can facilitate other stuff, and income streams where you're not even doing anything, and things just come in because of what you put into it. But it's just having to put into it. Personally, I can't do it, and I've had friends that have told me that they'd help me out, you know, and had tons of different ideas and stuff. I just can't do it. I don't know.
It's weird to hear you. Go ahead, Nick.
So also that whole social media thing, it's a full-time commitment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Yeah.
these people that, you know, they've got the huge profiles. I'd call them extreme metal influencers, if you like.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, sure.
It's like a full-time job, dude. And
Sure.
I've got to lie, you know, I've got responsibility.
Exactly.
We all have. We're
Yeah.
not kids anymore, you know. And
Exactly.
it-
And we
it's a-
have kids.
Yeah,
It's a full-time deal, you know.
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of a difference there. It's like everything else in life. You put in what you get out, right?
Exactly.
So
I guess
it doesn't have to be full time, but there are ways to streamline it on the back end of what I was just saying. There are services you can use where you just post once and let it do it for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, totally.
I agree with you, Ian. I don't know. I'm just totally like shy. I'm like,
I guess what I was trying to say earlier is like, in summary, is just I don't like being penalized for not fitting into today's metrics. It's like everything you've done before all of a sudden doesn't count because there's a new metric now that the world goes by. So that's I guess what I'm getting at. It's like you know the people in these markets or industries are going to have to at some point figure out how to take care of both. Because look, what about yes, there's drummers like Virgil Donati who have stayed with it, or like Thomas Lang, or people that they've followed it, they've been creative with it. But at the same time, we're talking about educators that have been doing this since the late 80s, and they started as educators. They were putting out videos on DCI, you know, like in those cats. I mean, that's what they've been doing this whole time, you know. So it's like I guess that's all I was trying to say. Is I just don't want to be like penalized for that. It's like and then at the same time, these YouTube videos now are, the production's insane. Like if you want something that's going to stick, I mean, I don't have the attention span to sit and like edit a video and make it look fucking sick and do Google Analytics, you know. I'm too busy trying to like set up a tour with my band and like write a record, you know. So
Sure.
I don't know. Anyway.
Here's something I want to pop up on the screen. This is a good friend of mine. Actually, we just stayed the night at my house this past weekend. His name's Anthony Zaccari. He's a drummer in Toronto in a band called Prospects. If you like Between the Buried and Me and Faith No More, you will dig his band. And he said, Flo, he was 15 years old when he met Flo at a clinic in Toronto. Thanks for showing me how to blast beat. Gravity blast.
Yeah.
Oh, I straight up ripped off Flo, man. The left-handed blast. That's all Flo, man.
It was funny to hear Flo say a minute ago that he's technically stupid when he's so fucking incredibly technical.
I had a VHS tape that I bought a bootleg from like it was just like a bunch of different Cryptopsy shows, and it was one from a Whisper Supremacy tour, and like it was super sick, and I was like, oh man, blasting with the China on the left, yeah, that's what it's all about. Okay, I'm gonna do that. So sorry.
I just
Thank you.
Thank you,
I
David.
just remember watching him play every night on the Dimmu tour we did like 20 years ago, and just, how the fuck am I going to follow this guy?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, when I first heard None So Vile at Culross's house, I made a joke. I mean, I knew it was, you know, because I was a drummer from the time I was 10, but I was like, man, how's this dude even throwing the hi-hat in there when he's using both hands on the snare drum? You know?
Nice.
You know, does he have a foot cable for that? What's happening?
Well, I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Oh, man, we appreciate you.
No, thanks.
So
Yeah, we did those shows. Was that like 2000? Probably around 2006, 2007. We did that short Canadian run.
Mm.
I think that was when like there was like the return of Lord Worm or
That's
something.
that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember we played bumfuck Quebec somewhere at a ski.
Oh yes. Oh
The
yes.
most Canadian thing you could probably do, unless it's
Just the look on our faces when you walk in, right?
a ring in a ski lodge, and I'll never forget that, man.
Yeah, that was good times, man.
Yeah.
That's the time I met you. Actually, was on that tour at Studio 7
All
when you
right.
had the long hair and stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was up there in the crowd, like trying to show you that I knew parts and stuff. You know, trying at least to like. I was like, yeah, man, look, I'm a huge fan and shit. And then, yeah, try not to punish you too hard after the show.
Air drum and cryptopsy like at the Rush show.
yeah, exactly. Like, because who else besides Neil Peart had a stadium of people air drumming his music?
Right? Exactly.
Nobody. Maybe Gilmore, but
Yeah.
I never ever air drummed for Rush at a show. I hate it.
You hate it. Right?
I was at one Rush show, and I was so pissed, and I had a few drinks, and the guy next to me was like, "Yo, you're playing it wrong, dude. Quit." The craziest thing, I don't want to go off on a tangent here. The craziest thing was, saw some old dude playing air keyboards, and he was doing the modulator thing, like wow.
Oh.
that's awesome.
Hey, man,
Yeah, but
I that's what I do now. It's there, the keyboards, the bass, guitar, man. I'll even get the expression wheel on there on the keyboard. You know.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm a dork.
That's funny. Air keyboards.
yeah,
That needs to be a new
straight up air keyboards at a
TikTok
Rush
video.
show.
But I love, like critiquing the air drummer. That's hilarious. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, we should have an air drum competition one of these days. That'd be fun as hell.
I didn't know I played all the instruments either until my wife told me you look stupid. So I went, oh no, okay. I even do the singing too.
I can't help it, dude. I just closet guitar player that just in my head I'm just shredding, you know. But
all the time.
Yeah.
But in reality, I got these sausage fingers, you know, and it's like.
Yeah, I only know this chord. This is the only chord I know, right?
There you go. That's the only chord you need to know.
If I'm listening to Korn, it's just this one right here, you know. Freaking,
For years now with air guitar, I'd always do like let's say, what do you call it, like a pitch harmonic of sorts or something. I would always
yeah.
Like, but it's like,
or
you do that, you like do it up here.
you bend the-
You gotta bend it and do all that shit. Like,
Eric Burke and I like to call those the squeeds.
Squeeze.
I do air whammy bar too. I do air whammy bar
Yes.
too.
Oh, yeah.
Air whammy
My
bar.
favorite's air tambourine.
There you go.
Damn.
All right, so
Air block.
You understand, Ian, now why being exposed on the internet too often isn't really good for us, right?
yeah, I know. I say too much on that.
Yeah.
I'm a Facebook junkie. I gotta admit it. I know I say too much sometimes, but
Before we go off to the next topic, one thing I do want to say is that Stick Drummer actually, it's a whole social media thing in its own that
Oh, of course.
like helped me out immensely starting. So I just want to thank you for that, and that
This is the first time I've ever done that.
exactly. But that reaches so many people and like such a dedicated fan base that like it shit out of like watching the live streams and everything.
It's the OG.
Or Waffle Goat helping out and like.
Yeah. I was super honored when Ian hit me up. It was like,
Yeah.
because I remember when Half Man Half Machine was a thing, and
oh my god,
and I was like, oh man, I want to be on that list, but there's no way, And then, Ian come out, and I really appreciate the opportunity, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's
me
weird.
too. This is my first time. Yeah.
oh man, all the feels.
My first
2006,
time
2007.
I'm
Thank you.
honored. Thanks for inviting me.
God, I'm gonna have to play another video so I don't have to show everybody me blushing.
I just want to know when am I going to get When am I going to get a magazine cover?
Sorry, you're cutting out there. What?
Oh my god!
When am I going to get a magazine cover?
Tell you what, you're next.
No,
Actually,
I'm just kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. That's fine. You deserve one. I haven't done one in a while, but I could think of nobody better to throw on the next one. Maybe you as well, McGraw. But Flo's been on one and Adam's been on one. So yeah, we might as well start to do some other ones. We're doing it a different way now. I don't know if there ever will be another 100-page digital flipping issue, but I'll figure a way out to just feature you on something. You know what I mean? Whether it's a few pages on the website that's a monthly feature issue or whatnot. And while the comments keep coming in here, MySpace. Without MySpace, there would be no Sick Drummer. So I got to give them credit for that platform being there. That's where most of our followers came from before they disappeared, and then that turned into other things. But yeah, MySpace was great.
Thanks,
I agree.
Thank you, MySpace.
Let's take a little break here, and I don't know, Adam, do you want to kind of talk this up a little bit before I play it? Reprisal?
Oh, jeez.
We're gonna
Nick's getting right there. I'm just like, no.
All right, so for those of you watching, before I let Adam, before Adam speaks about this, we were fortunate enough to receive an entire set of footage that no one has seen yet. And we're going to go ahead and premiere the first video off of the entire set here tonight. And I'll let Adam just tell you a little bit about that night or what it was like, because it was your first time playing live with Lockup.
Yeah.
Nick's old band.
That one, speaking of hating to practice, God damn it, Nick.
You killed it, bro.
It was a 75-minute set.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're used to it.
Because it was at the Roskilde Fest in Copenhagen, and we got the offer, and it was like we were mulling back and forth, and I was like, "You realize that this contract says 75 minutes, right?" We're like, "Oh shit!" So we put together, actually, I mostly put it together with Shane and Anton, and of course Kevin had his 2 cents in Tampa, but. I was like, let me pick the songs that aren't going to totally kill me. There was a couple that they wanted to play, and I was just like, no, man. I don't know if that's going to be possible.
Yeah, it was the same for me. It's like, I don't think we could do that one.
So even if you're pulling double duty, which you do sometimes, with let's say you have a show where you're playing Pig Destroyer and Misery Index, is that even 75 minutes combined in most times? Or is it?
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
But this was like learning all new, of
Yeah,
course, Lockup material, but it's not one thing of listening to music and then having to sit down and actually pull it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that takes a lot of time. So.
And how was the crowd at that show? How was the crowd at that festival?
It was great, but that's a very while we were playing, literally Lizzo was playing on the main stage. It's one of it's extremely diverse.
Apparently.
Was it Roskilde?
Roskilde, yeah.
Yeah.
So even the year that, I played there with Scour, Misery Index, Pig Destroyer, and now Lockup, which is insane.
That's awesome, dude. I played it once and it was fucking cool. So
and every year it was I think when Scour played, it was LL Cool J. You just never know who's going to the Gorillas were there one year. Anderson .Paak, I remember he played. But anyways, going back to that, we all met up in Copenhagen and rehearsed. Our buddy Lars hooked us up with his rehearsal space. We had 3 days to jam, and at that point, we had never all even been in the same room together. So, yeah, man, it was very stressful leading up to that, but when we got on stage, just ripped. I fucked up one song, and it was the end of and it's funny because there's footage actually in that my buddy Alex that filmed the set. There's footage of me looking at Anton, knowing that I'm fucking up, And you see, like, right when I instead of going into like a skin beat, I just started blasting, because what are you going to do?
Blast.
Thrash, skank, or blast. Come on, what do you like? Pick one. It walks me back now, because like soon as I like started doing this blast, where it's supposed to be whatever, like skank beat or something, like you see Shane immediately. He's playing, facing the crowd, and all of a sudden that part comes up, and Shane's just like, and that's this thing where he like flips back.
Yeah. The Embry disappointed stepfather. Look, I've seen that.
Oh boy! Oh yeah! And yeah, Anton. Like, I was staring at Anton the whole time, and I was like, I know I'm fucking up, man. And afterwards, I was like, ended it like cymbal grab, and I was like, whoops!
Let's play that track.
One song out of an entire 75-minute set. So.
Well, I'll leave it up to you, Adam. I'll leave it up to you. It's your choice. I know you were worried yesterday when we talked last night about how long a song would be on a show like this, but now that you see it's just kind of, we're doing what we're doing. There's tangents. There's in the weeds. This is fun as hell. I want to see that part now. What's that?
I want to see that part now.
The messed up part?
Yeah.
I'll send it to you guys.
It's all good, dude. But next time, Adam, you know that some contracts can be broken, right?
So I'll leave it up to you. I got 2 songs queued up here. One of them's 1:12. One of them's 3:20. It's your choice.
Play them both.
Ooh.
What songs are they?
Violent Reprisal and Rage Incarnate. Reborn, I think.
Rage Incarnate Reborn's
Play
actually.
them both.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, which one do you want to hear first? We'll leave it up to you then, because Adam's indecisive.
Okay. Which one do you want to go with, Adam?
Maybe Rage Incarnate.
All right, and then we'll do the other one a little bit later on.
That's a little bit, yeah. That's
Is that the longer one or shorter one? So I know how much time I have. I'm listening in my headphones, but I gotta pee really bad.
No, that's fine. This is 3:20. 3 minutes 20 seconds.
Okay, I'll pee really fast.
Pee quick. All right. Without further ado, Adam Jarvis with Lockup. David, pronounce that again. Roskilde. You said it better than me.
Roskilde.
Roskilde Festival.
Roskilde. Yeah.
I believe it was July 17th this year. Say no more. Here's Adam Jarvis with Lockup, his first performance with the band ever. We'll be right back.
that goes, Nick.
Dude. Hey, you nailed it, bro. You nailed it. Listen, what ride is that? That thing is a monster.
That's the power bell ride. I know. As soon as I heard that, it was like, bing, ding, ding. Yeah, Sabian power bell.
Oh, that's it. That, bro, you nailed it. You nailed it. It was an absolute pleasure to watch you play my song.
Wow.
It was
awesome stuff.
I wish I could do an Owen Wilson. Wow.
Wow.
For everybody watching, they couldn't see the other guys. Like I could see at the bottom of my screen while the video was playing. Nick was there drumming, just so you all know.
I love all the tasty little thing. Like that record in particular, like really, like, yeah, man, drumming on that. That's why I had to throw in that little. I didn't have a roto tom, but I threw on that little 8-inch and just cranked the shit out of it to get like some of those roto tom parts. You know.
Yeah.
Not an easy thing to come
great.
by in the middle of Denmark. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
God, you hit hard, man. You hit so hard. I don't know how you do
fun,
it.
really
You all hit hard, but
fun playing that shit, man. And you know, it's like
it was great to watch. Really, it was a pleasure.
you're.
I'm being attacked by a cat.
Yeah, I see that.
Jesus, man.
You're obviously a huge influence, and man, it's awesome. Just like to hear you say that. So I appreciate you.
Yeah.
And you're a goddamn
It's all good,
beast.
brother.
Oh yeah.
So are you.
All right.
You all are.
So
yeah, everybody here. Yeah.
tell us about Nick Fest.
Nick
Oh,
Fest.
that's Spark Fest. It's a friend of mine in Brighton. He's arranged a charity show in London for me. You know, for a whole dialysis thing that I'm going through right now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I'm gonna be raffling off a few Nick Barker things, some memorabilia, a couple of signed symbols. You know, yeah, just to show my love and everything. You know, for the fans and people that have donated to me and everything else. You know.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, best of luck on that, brother.
Is there going to be any way people that do not attend can also contribute?
Yeah. The GoFundMe thing is still going on.
Okay.
So people can donate to that if they want to. I'm just really grateful. To be honest, Ian, before the whole GoFundMe thing, I really didn't think many people really gave much of a fuck about me.
Oh.
Because I'm quite a private guy. I'm not really big on the social media thing, and and so it was really overwhelming and very humbling that with the response. So I'm really, really thankful to everyone, and it's really, really, really a beautiful thing. Like the metal scene. It's everyone pulls together when one of us needs help. It's great.
Yeah, that was incredible to see. And when we post later on, post interview, I'll add everybody's, endorsing company links to the description of the video on YouTube, and I'll throw a link to that in there as well, and all that
Thank
kind
you.
of thing. No, you are welcome. I had another question for you. Maybe we can kind of, whatever. So aside from, Brujeria, and if I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry. I think a lot of people say it different ways. How do you say it? Is it Brujeria?
Brujeria.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cradle of Filth, Demu, Lockup. We've also played with bands like Borknagar, Testament, Exodus, Divine Heresy, Nuclear Assault, and also I was Anathema, if I'm saying that right, which is
Anathema.
kind of Anathema. It's a little bit off of your normal style.
Old Man's Child.
Old Man's Child as well. Out of all these different bands, which would you say was the hardest for you to learn?
Well,
that you didn't write yourself.
When I didn't write myself, Exodus. Tom Hunting is an amazing drummer. He's so underrated, and he's amazing. He's a fucking beast on the kit, and I had the problems because he's got a really unique style, and because he's a lefty, Usually when I'm learning somebody else's stuff, I don't know how you guys are, but I visualize me looking down on their kit as they play. And, I'm kind of executing the chops and the fills in my mind, how I think they go. But because he's a lefty, my brain couldn't figure it out, if that makes sense. So what I had to do was I had to watch YouTube videos and watch them on the TV, but with a mirror. So he was playing right-handed in the mirror.
Smart.
Okay, right. And it made perfect sense then. But I really struggled because he's a lefty. My brain just couldn't fathom some of the shit until I got the TV in the mirror and now I know. And
that's pretty ingenious, man, I gotta say.
That is very ingenious. That's about how computer smart I am, though.
Yeah. So Exodus have always been like one of my favorite bands since I was a teenager, and so to play with Exodus was like, and also playing for Possessed as well. They were two bands that I grew up with, and I had posters of them on my wall.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So to play with Possessed and Exodus was that was something special. And again with the Possessed stuff, because they weren't, their ability, their musical, their artistic creativity far outweighed their ability to play their instruments, if you understand what I mean. So trying to break it down, and also the sound of the production on the records is so shitty, and you're trying to work out like what fill is he doing there, and then it wouldn't be on the bar. It'd be like 4.5 or like, so you can hear the guitars speeding up to catch up with the drums. So that was kind of hard too, actually formulating some of the Possessed stuff. But I really enjoyed it. I mean, I actually purchased the Rototoms specifically to do that tour, and then that's what prompted me to use them on the Lockup album.
All right on.
Nobody uses Rototoms
anymore.
Well, I remember when we did the that Lockup Misery and Split, and you were playing us the new Lockup then, and you were so pumped about the Roto. You're like, listen to this. We're sitting in the back of that bus in Germany or Austria.
Yeah, I remember.
Pull me out of the bunks. I couldn't keep up with you, man. We had like 8,000 drink tickets, and I
know, right?
It was the first time
it was
was that weekend. You were What was that? Hell? Was that with Sneed?
I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. You were teching or something then.
Yeah.
2000, whatever. But tried to go to sleep, and next thing you know, Barker's on our bus, like trying to pull me out of my bunk. He's like, "You're not going to fucking sleep, man." He didn't say it like that. And he actually ripped me out of my bunk. I was like, "All right, let's do it. How many more drink tickets we got?" Like 6,000. Sweet.
I do have a couple more questions, and I know Dave has another question, but there's a lot more people on right now than there were a few minutes ago, so I'm going to go ahead and play that second track now. This is Adam Jarvis, Jarvis's first performance with Lockup. We heard one song already, Rage Incarnate Reborn, and here comes a shorter song for all of you who might have just joined us called Violent Reprisal. We'll be right back in a minute 12.
Nasty.
Flawless.
Nasty.
Flawless.
Look at the steams rolling off because it was cool to get that, man.
What China is that, Adam?
What was that? Most likely the 18-inch AA Extreme.
Not the China Blast is nasty. Just,
I love the China Blast.
oh,
I'm
fuck.
all about the China
They sound
Blast.
so. The China Blast sounds so obnoxious and just.
I know. The more obnoxious, the better.
Yeah,
What sounds more vicious? Is it with the China or is it with the hi hat? It's always
China, dude.
Yeah.
I think the
For me,
China
at
is
least.
just. It's like a whirlwind tornado thing,
Yeah.
I love it.
It's like an angry dad yelling at you. No.
What was the hardest song to learn, Adam? If there was one.
The hardest song to learn. Oh my gosh.
What was the, all right? So what was the one you told them? No, fuck that. We're not playing it.
It was one of the ones with Kevin. I might have to cheat and look real quick at the set list, but I know which one was the hardest because it so many parts to it especially for a lockup song. It was.
Why don't you guess what he's going to say, Nick?
Was it Desolation Architect?
We were going to play that, but we actually didn't end up. Because I mapped all the songs out. Actually, I should go get my cheat just to show real quick. I'm not going to take too much time. But,
Whatever.
It's mostly like a typical A B C A or A B whatever formula for lockup. But that song, Jesus Christ, there was so many changes. Sorry, bear with me 1 second.
That's all right. We'll come back to it.
Stalks the Darkness.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Lots of rototoms in that one, too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know.
It's like the Pete Sandoval on Terrorizer. It's like classic.
Well, that was
shit.
the whole vibe. I wanted to do like Seven Churches, Pete, Schizophrenia.
Schizophrenia as well. Yeah.
I know Dave. Dave had one more. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there. I thought you were done talking. My bad. Dave, you had one more topic, if you will, or question or topic. Why don't we throw that out there and we'll see what sticks?
Yeah, sure. So you guys are veterans and you've been, in the scene for a very, very long time. So I'm always interested, as to what's coming up, what's next. What are some of your favorite kind of newer bands or younger musicians that are out there right now? Who are you kind of looking at?
I haven't heard you from Flo in a while. Why don't we start with Flo?
Well, it's always an interesting question. There's so many different bands out there right now. So many very talented people. I hate just naming a few because then you neglect the rest. As far as the future, I just we'll keep on going for sure with Cryptopsy. There's different stuff that's going to be coming out, different touring for this record and stuff. So I'm a kind of like a day by day kind of guy, just see what's going on. Of course, the things have to be planned and stuff, but we'll see. There's no the point is to keep going, and what's cool about the newer bands that are coming out is that they bring a newer crowd as well. So it's always interesting having them or being part of a package with new blood and stuff. So, yeah.
I think we lost your audio.
Yeah. Again. Another reason why I don't do too many of these. So yeah, man, there's just so many great bands. I'm amongst peers right now, and I kind of feel pressured to give you news. But I mean, all I can say is that just like the rest of you, just day by day, and we just keep on going, doing what we love doing, and creating and coming up with new ideas, and rewriting old ideas, and sharing it with newer bands, and hopefully the scene just meshes together and grows, and things as far as like Nick was saying before, the prices post-COVID and stuff like that. I hope the world comes back to normal sooner than later. It's still a little bit rough, but it's getting better and better. Hopefully that'll stick too. And I think that's why I am in the bands that I'm with, are taking it one step at a time and just enjoying the process every chance we can get.
Fair enough.
There you go.
Adam.
Well, it's funny. I've been going through a weird like noise rock kind of phase. I grew up loving bands like Unsane and the Melvins and Breadwinner. I don't know if anybody knows Breadwinner.
I will be honest and say I don't.
Nope.
Check out Breadwinner. But there's this band that I went and saw recently called Chat Pile. They're from Oklahoma. Fucking amazing band. Really unique. If you're into noise rock, I guess it's not for everybody,
Check it out.
As far as like death metal, it's hard to keep up. It's really fucking hard to keep up.
Tell me,
There's so much going on.
Should see my inbox.
I follow like this like release radar thing that I try to like, and I used to go on Metal Sucks would always be really good about like posting basically every release that would come out and be like a link to check out, And I was keeping up with that for a while, and it's just like so much shit. I mean, I don't mean to call it shit. It's like it's amazing. There's like this, and there's like Flo was saying, it's like there's so many young bands that are just like coming out hungry and just ready to rip and like
for sure
on tour and like just ready to do the damn thing. It's inspiring when you go to a show and like just being blown away, by the younger blood coming out, and it's.
Yeah. I feel like a dinosaur.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's all these young kids, and just what they're doing is just mind blowing. I can't keep up. I'm old school. I'm out of touch. But when I see all these young dudes now, it's just like holy shit. And I feel like a dinosaur. I feel very fortunate that people actually like my shit. But like some of the level of these new players, this young generation, it's insane. And I'm being harassed by a cat again. I'm sorry.
Well, Nick, you're one of the reasons why these young cats are doing this. So
Yeah.
It's all of us. It's all of us.
Yeah, all you guys are all pillars of pinnacle death metal drummers.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's why we chose you all for this episode to be together.
One band recently that I did go see. Sorry, I don't know what I was just talking.
No, it's cool. Continue.
Vitriol.
Oh yeah,
I saw them recently.
I didn't know anything about them. Went and saw them. I guess it was the Exhumed.
Yeah, that would have been Matt Kilner on drums with him, right?
Jeez. Literally, like, jaw was on the floor.
It was that lineup with X-Order, right? If I'm not mistaken.
What's that?
It was a lineup with X-Order, or am I thinking of a different show?
No, I think it was, what was it, Castrator.
Was it with the original drummer?
No, it's the dude that's playing with, I think he plays in Gorgasm.
He does play in Gorgasm now, and he has his own project.
That's
Matt
the current, that's the newer guy. Yeah, he's a beast.
And before that, they were on tour with Suffocation, where they had Chase and Westmoreland on drums, and it's one of the sickest things I've seen in 15 years of doing this.
I agree. I saw that shit, dude. Jaw dropped.
It's on our Facebook and YouTube. If anybody wants to see it, it's just fucked. That's all I can say.
Yeah, Chasen. Yeah, he's a beast.
Chasen, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, Chasen is a beast.
I quit. I quit.
But yeah, it was one of those things that I felt the same way. I was just like, fuck, man, like setting the alarm clock at the show for the next morning to wake up to go to practice. Like, Jesus, man.
There's another, before, I'm sorry, Dave McGraw, we'll let you answer this too, but if anybody has not heard of a band out of Boise, Idaho called Barn, it's a bunch of young kids. They started at 17 with their first full length, and now they're 21, 22, and they just put out their third. And they write their own original music, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 13 minutes long, in the vein of Old Death and Cynic.
Yeah,
These dudes are nuts. So, Barn.
What's it called again? Barn?
Yeah, barnnoise.bandcamp.com. Check him out. The drummer Dante Haas is a fucking machine. Not a machine because he's tasty, but just, I don't know how to remember all the parts. I really don't. I don't know. They're insane, but I've also been hugely into Sleep Token lately, but go ahead, Dave. Anything else up on your radar these days, aside from Bryce Butler?
I mean, yeah, just to echo everyone else, I mean, yeah, there is a lot of stuff coming out. I do like keeping I guess, how's the saying go, an ear to the ground or whatever. I always like discovering new music and stuff. And yeah, there is a lot of good stuff coming out that's like super well produced and whatnot. What really gets me though is like there's got to be songwriting, and I feel like kind of going back into an older topic, you know, all this like super well produced stuff that, you know, some of the songwriting gets lost in there. But I like, it's not death metal, but Loathe. This band Loathe I've been listening to a ton. They're kind of like almost like a mix of Glassjaw and Deftones. I don't know if you guys like any of that stuff, but they're a newer band. They put out a record in 2020, and through COVID, they like blew the fuck up. Listening to them a lot. As far as like newer metal bands, Vitriol live is incredible. Like that sort of like, what I love about them live is just that they have the OG fucking death metal kind of magic, fuck the world shit, you know, that was missing, you know. It's just raw but still just gnarly.
Yeah.
And I know they're not technically a newer band, but Surruption's always been, I've said this many times, they're like, as far as newer death metal bands, they're my favorite death metal band that's come out in the last 10 plus years or whatever. I would say Surruption for sure.
Oh yeah, Surruption's nuts. Tony Westermark is so good.
Yep. And mega fan. And as far as like band stuff for us, well, we just put out a record not long ago, so we're busy with that. And kind of like how Flo was saying, you know, we're just grateful to be able to still do this. You know, we talk about it with the guys. We don't take it for granted. It's still a lot of work, obviously, and you know, working with the current environment and stuff of the industry. But you know, any day that I can go out on tour and it is a blessing. Like, you know, very grateful that we get to do that. So, you know, whenever those bad days come or happen, you know, which they do, I try to put things into perspective, and I'm like, you know what, when I was 13 years old and decided that I was going to obsess over this, like here I am, and I'm still doing it. So it's a win for me, you know.
I gotta say, Death Atlas is still in my reg rotation. That's a goddamn masterpiece, and I don't know how or why, but it gives me so much like Cynic vibes. The way Travis sang a lot of that stuff, like it had a you know, a Masvidalian, if you will, kind of quality to music. At the same time as having the brutal death metal that Travis is only ripping like only Travis can. But I got a Cynic vibe from that record. I can't.
Yeah. And my hat's off to him, because he, you know, he's just gotten, in my opinion, better. You know, so it's you know, I'm fortunate to be in a band with those guys, so I'm happy.
Good.
Nice. Was that? Let's see here. Does anybody else have any other questions they wanted to ask one another? if I've got a couple more here. How we all doing on time and whatnot?
I'm good.
I know it's late as fuck for Nick.
Is it coffee brewing, Nick?
Was it 5:20 a.m.? Was it 5:20 a.m.?
No, it's 4:20.
4:20. It's 4:20. Hang on.
What a time.
All right, so we talked about all the different bands that you had played with, Nick, and what was the hardest to learn. I had another question for Adam. What was it like? And I don't care if anybody calls it Pantera or not these days. The idea was the right idea when that tour got put together to go out and pay homage to Vinny and Dime. And I've seen some of the videos, and it just looked like I missed the show because I had a family death, but you got to sing on stage, man, with those guys. The hell was that like?
Unreal, of course.
You can put it into words.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the original Pantera once. Well, I guess you can't say the original Pantera, but Phil, Dime, and Vinny and Rex. And man, I think it was like my senior year of high school. I think it was the last U.S. tour that they did. Unfucking real. So just to just be in a band with Phil and like become like friends with him. I'm actually flying out in a couple weeks, going down to. He always does this annual haunted house. Call it the Haunt.
Well, you're in Scour with him, obviously, which helped.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so but that all spawned from. There's this band that I was in called Fulgora.
Yep.
He actually caught wind of that and was like really into it, and like we almost thought that it was like somebody trolling us, acting like Phil. Phil and someone likes this band. Get the fuck out of here.
That's great.
So he actually like called my cousin, like they exchanged numbers, calling him, just being like, yeah, man, like. So Picture played down in New Orleans. We went out to his house and recorded the Fulgora song. It still hasn't even been released, unfortunately.
Wow.
But yeah, so I'm just going down a fucking
It'd be cool if he had like an Asthma Castle tape on his coffee table when you walked in.
Yeah. But yeah, going on like some of the Scour guys were at that show, and Phil was like, "Guys are coming out, sing, walk with us."
Wow.
Yeah, man, it's unreal how like just the guys that they have doing it. It's like it just makes perfect sense. Of course, Charlie Benante, there's the history there. Like he was really good friends with all the Pantera guys, of course. Zach, like how long? Like even when Vinny was alive, people were saying like, oh, they should get together with Zach on guitar. It's just like a natural thing to happen.
I think it sounds great. I love it.
Yeah, I got to see like 3 or 4 of the shows at this point. And,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. There's a guy here in the chat, Seth Ringler. I don't know if anybody's heard of him or knows him, but he's a guitarist in South Florida who plays a lot with Gus Rios. And he's one of the best guitarists I've ever seen. And he had a quick question asking each of you how much you may or may not be involved in the songwriting process with your individual bands. Thanks, Seth.
Good question.
Oh, well, me,
Yeah.
I've always been very done with that stuff. I can't write riffs, but if you give me a bunch of riffs, I can turn it into an
song.
arrangement or a song. I've always been hands-on with that stuff. I don't know. I'm a frustrated guitar player. I wish I could write riffs because I know I can write some pretty cool shit.
We all are.
Yeah, I've always been hands-on with the arrangement and the songwriting.
Nice.
Same here.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly like Nick. I love to piece stuff together and create the bridges and the little traps and put stuff together that makes sense and create a song, not just a series of riffs.
Also, what I like doing is if somebody plays me a riff, I'll play a bunch of different beats, and depending on the beat, if you change the phrasing a little bit to follow the beat, it can totally transform it. Sometimes it doesn't work. It's trial and error, but sometimes when it works, the rest of the guys are like, fuck yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
so
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Adam?
No, same. I'm extremely hands-on, especially with Misery Index. Composing, it always gets, sent to me first, and I kind of digest it. There's times where they'll, what they think is like the intro riff now is like, in my mind, the chorus. Like, no, man, that's a chorus riff. And then I'll take like something later in the song, and like now that's like the intro, and like, yeah, build things up, kind of put it in like more of a song form. It's gotten better with that over the years. What the process that I was doing that I meant to talk about earlier is playing in on the electronic kit, like just like right into Cubase and just like play in the song, kind of have the basic idea there, digest it from there, sit on it for a little bit, and then bring that to like the actual drum kit and out even more from there, because it's like, of course you can get carried away with like programming drums and be like, oh yeah, fucking, million miles an hour. Like, is this even fun to play at this point? You don't want to get, because you still got to play it live.
You can always tell when a guitarist has programmed the drums.
Oh, of course. Like, yeah, here, man. Can you learn that shit? Like, geez. Like, what do you think this is? Blasting for like 4 minutes straight. You got a little snare roll in there, and then it's just back to blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Neil Peart on meth.
There's a lot of questions here. I'm gonna just kind of run through some of them real quick, and we'll just let one of you kind of answer instead of everybody. I don't want to keep you guys too much longer, but this one here I'll answer, and if anybody else wants to answer it after me, go ahead and take your stab. But what's your best live gig touring life hack? Like, what have you found over the years that was something that was a hack that worked out in your favor? And I'll say, if you're in a pinch, you can take the clutch hi-hat apart, take all the screws out and everything, and it serves as a one-hitter. For those who don't know.
For those who don't
I
know.
know you can see it, Adam. I can see it just clicked in your brain, and you can see it now. But yeah, it's a one-hitter. Does anybody else have a really cool hack that they've discovered from all of their extensive touring experience?
Oh, my.
I don't know. I guess it depends. I mean, if it's gear specific,
Could be anything. Could be airport. Could be gear. Whatever.
yeah. If it's gear specific, I guess flipping your wing nut. If the felts are too shot, and you need to tighten down your cymbal for a quicker response. Depending on what kind of wing nut it is. If you flip it, or you can grab it from another one, and that's something that comes in handy every single time. Obviously, the drumstick clamp thing to open the kick drum feet, because sometimes they just don't want to open up. But I think I probably would have,
Tama Star Classic. Those bass drum legs.
They lock up and they just don't.
Yeah.
Yep. They just. I also bring. I don't know. I always bring with me extra felts.
Yep.
Allen key wrench set. And actually felts. That's it. That's the one thing that no matter what backline you're using, man, it could be the top of the line with the felts that are just absolutely shot.
Yeah,
as far as the gear goes.
Same for me. I always bring extra felts and the cymbal sleeves too, because most of the time there's no cymbal sleeves, and especially in South America, my cymbals are worth more than the drum kit. And the last thing I want is to keyhole all of my cymbals.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
cymbal sleeves and the belt. What Dave said, flipping the wing nut to get that extra traction. Yeah, that's my thing too.
You guys know about the grombles? These little plastic little. It's basically like the washer and everything in one, and you just twist it into the cymbal, and you just place it on. So if you show up, like you're saying, like all the guts are missing from a cymbal fan or something, you can just pop this on, and it's not tightened. It's basically like, everybody has it. Like for me, my chinas, I always like them to be tighter, especially for blasting. But crashes, I like to flop around a little bit more. But you can't really adjust much. But in a pinch, those things could save your life, man. Because you might get up there and you just like you were just saying, Nick, you set your cymbal on it, it's like falls all the way to the bottom of the stand. You're just like, jeez.
That question was from this person here, Sega, who's actually watching from Russia. So thank you for joining us. Here's a question that was specifically for you, Mr. McGraw. Do you use push-pull when blasting? And what technique may you use for stamina or performance if it's not push-pull?
No, it's just single strokes, French. I mean, I guess we're talking about blasting, just, French grip, just single strokes, man. That's it. No push-pull. Push-pull is it's a hard technique, but I find to get a lot more power from just doing it the old traditional way. And then as far as stamina, I don't know. I mean, that's just I suppose the years of playing. I don't know. Like I don't really. I mean, I don't know. It depends. If I'm feeling real good that night, maybe I'll, dramatize the playing a little bit more. But nowadays it's just more about containing an even Steven flow across the set, just to keep it consistent. So,
all right. Here's a question for Nick. What's the cat's name?
Sorrel.
Did you say Carl?
Sorrel.
Oh,
Sorrel.
Carl. I was going to say Carl. That's cool.
She's a very, very affectionate cat. It's almost like sexual harassment.
Also, in the wee hours, cats get weird, man.
Yes, seriously.
Like around
Yeah,
3 o'clock at night, they get freak out.
Really
Look at
do.
this. Looks like it's about to start talking shit to me.
My cat's name is Fripp.
What is it?
Here we go.
Fripp. Who knows what that's from? Got to be somebody in this group knows what Fripp is.
Fripp.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Carl Fripp from King Crimson.
Robert Fripp from King Crimson, yes.
Yeah, Carl.
Because I just said Carl. Yeah. My cat's named after Robert Fripp from King Crimson. But anyway, Mr. Culross, do you have any other questions before we kind of wrap this up?
None off the top of my head. No.
All right. Anybody else?
Oh, I'm sorry. Here's one. This one's
Oh,
for.
too late.
See myself out. No, this one's for Adam, because I know that my dad was kind of in a similar situation. I know that you just played with Lockup, and you had to fill some pretty big shoes with Nick. And my dad being in Suffo, they've had countless drummers. I've always asked him, is there just little things that you do differently to kind of add your own flair? And do you do anything differently to add your own kind of flair?
Yeah, I think that's going to happen naturally. Just, do your own kind of spin on it, but don't stray too far from it. You know what I mean? Like, especially certain fills, of course, or sometimes just just down to the basic, like how comfortable you're going to be playing the song too. That was a problem of ripping blasts over there, Nick Barker.
Oh, you did great, dude. Seriously, Adam, it was a pleasure.
I'm just going to do the snare roll real quick. I remember you even told me there was one neurotic death fest where it was like we were talking about, you're like, it's like, oh yeah, I fucked up this part in the song. You're like, you should have just did the roll move. So I like dropped a stick or something. You're like, yeah, just act like you're doing like about to do a roll.
Oh yeah, that's my get out of jail thing.
Exactly.
If I'm starting to get fatigued on the blast, you start to feel the lactic burn. Just go into a roll across the toms.
Exactly.
Couple of
start
seconds,
feeling the burn.
Just give you a couple of seconds of breathing space and like, okay, I'm back again.
That's a good tip.
That's a very good tip.
The reset button.
Yeah. Just
Right.
give it
Okay, here we go again.
that little breathing space, and you can just catch your breath and like, and we go again.
Yeah, man.
Oh, well, there's one more question that just popped in that I'm going to ask, and then we'll just go around real quick, and you can tell us what you got coming up next. But this is from another fellow drummer you guys might know by the name of Angel Kate. If you guys were to pick one album you record, did you say Hammer?
Demolition Hammer.
Hammer. Yeah. He's an incredible drummer. Thanks for joining us, Angel.
Love that dude fucking rules.
He wants to know, pick an album that best represents you that you've recorded. Each one of you, real quick, I guess, would be great.
The last one for Cattle, I think, is good. That's where I'm at currently. So
Right on.
I feel the same way. Just my state of mind, the last Cryptopsy. Yeah.
Awesome banging record, by the way.
Thank you.
For me, there's albums from various bands. So, I mean, I'm pretty happy with the latest ones, the Brujeria album and the Shining record. But I guess everybody gives me props for the Dimmu stuff. So, and the Old Man's Child. So, they were the most challenging. And the last Lockup record I played.
All right.
oh yeah.
What about you, Adam? Which album best rep? There's so many. I mean, but between all of you, there's so many albums. My God.
Yeah. But I was thinking, like, I think when I first actually felt more confident in my playing was Traders, Misery Index. That's where I really, like, I guess felt like I was a decent drummer on that record.
Yeah, you were right.
But, and, yeah, I mean, there's so many records. It's hard to pick one, but yeah, that and Book Burner.
I was going to
It's a great
say,
album.
hey, I'm sorry. Funny story. You just reminded me of. I went into a store last year. I was wearing this shirt, and someone had just pulled their car into the front of the store by accident and put a hole in it, bricks and all that shit. So the cops were pulling up as I walked into the store. And I get in line to buy whatever I was buying, and this police officer looks at me. He's like, "Oh, that's an interesting shirt. What is that?" He's like, "Is that a band?" I'm like, "No, it was my nickname in college."
That's the best response you could have had for that
Dude,
one.
he started laughing so hard I thought he was going to throw up. While we were on you, Adam, what's next? What's on the horizon here for you? We'll go around and we'll just see what everybody's got coming up, and then we'll say our goodbyes.
Just working on 2 new records, actually. Misery Index and Pick a Story are working on some new stuff, and Scour is actually working on some new stuff as well. Yeah, there's a lot going on. But next show actually is in a couple weeks in Atlanta. Mass Destruction Fest.
What date is that? Because I might be in Atlanta on the 26th.
It's like the first week of November, so it's like 4th and 5th or something like that. Actually, Kevin Sharp. Kevin Sharp's going to come out and hang out next.
I've met Kevin plenty of times here in Rochester with Berg.
Yeah, we might actually have a little treat planned.
All right, keep me posted.
But yeah.
And you and everybody else, if you want anything added to the video description, links to what's coming up or tour dates or, album links, whatever it may be, just send them to me in that group chat and I'll throw them in. All right.
Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And I know you, Flo, just got back from a tour. Anything else, or are you just kind of in chill mode right now?
No, we're mid-November. We're doing a Mexican festival. The name's it's in Monterey, with a bunch of pretty big bands, and then Asia right after that. It'll continue all of next year, of course, the touring, and then the new Ultimus record should hit also beginning of next year.
Excellent. So
yeah, quite a few things coming up, and quite happy to be back and doing the live stuff too. After this COVID hiatus.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very good. What about you, Dave?
We have a headliner tour starting November 10th, US, and just a couple of Canadian dates. So that'll be cool. And we have Europe in March after that, and kind of the same thing as Flo. We just put out a record, so we'll be busy for a while. But those are the two right now that we got coming.
Angel just popped in another question for you. What's it like having one of the greatest death metal drummers for a dad?
What was the question?
Is that an inside joke or something, or is your dad a drummer? Like,
who? Me?
Probably for David.
Oh my God! He's talking about.
Oh.
He's talking about the other Dave. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Culross.
He's like a walking encyclopedia. I ask him about any band, and he tells me everything ever about him, and I'm like, okay, cool. That's awesome. I mean, I'm like, I find these bands I've never heard of, and I'm like, oh, what can you tell me about XYZ band? And he's like, oh yeah, I toured with them. What? Toured with them?
I've known your dad for almost 30 years, Dave, and he's one of the best human beings ever.
Yeah, very, very, very sweet. Very good guy, man.
Yeah, he is.
He really is.
This is one of the dumbest things I've ever done right there. Unless I was just kidding, which I wasn't kidding. I can't back out of it now. I'm like, Dave McGraw's dad's a drummer? It's like changing the wrong tire on your car if one's flat. I mean, anyway, thanks for
it's late.
And Nick, we know you've got the albums coming up. Anything else you want to talk about before we head out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing the Borstal album, my hardcore band. We're kind of doing that with Andy Sneap, and then I'm going to be playing some selective shows with The Shining in the new year, just festivals. And my main thing is, getting my health back on track. I've got to drop the weight to get a kidney transplant, and then as soon as that happens, then it's going to be full steam ahead. Back in the game, baby.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. I just said it myself when I could have Jason do it.
Yeah.
Well, fucking Nick, make sure you get better, and I'm glad to see you are doing better already. It's amazing to see, and I'm so happy for the fundraiser and everyone coming together and raising that money for you and get your shit taken care of. It's heartwarming, man, really heartwarming. And don't forget to send me anything you want for the video description, and I will gladly share it.
Thank you.
Thank you all for taking the time. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Twitch and YouTube. Thanks for all the questions. There was a couple of people I noticed in the chat that were kind of maybe getting irritated that their question weren't being featured. Sorry, there was a lot. And if I missed some questions, my apologies. I can't get all of them, but I tried to get as many as I could. Dave Culross Jr. with the Drum and Dad, thanks for, again, taking time out of your schedule to be part of this and co-host it with us. It's always a pleasure. I wish you all continued success, happiness, and good luck on your new wife, with you and your new wife, Mr. McGraw, and your new house that you just moved into. And keep in touch, man. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's an honor to do this with all you guys. Truly.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
All right.
It's for me too.
Cool. All the best to you, Nick, my friend.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you. Much love to all of you guys. I love you all.
Same.
Thank you.
Likewise, man. Oh yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, just I'll hit end stream, and we are done.
Cheers, boys.
All right. Cheers, fellas.
Thank you.
Take care.